Can you imagine a time when a community as big as Portland, Oregon came together to celebrate an event? A time when they came together and didn't judge on race or gender? A time when everyone was truly united? I can. It was 1977 when the Portland Trailblazers won their first NBA championship. It was more than a game for many. It was personal. It was a dream that had finally been fulfilled. The Blazers put hope into the community throughout the playoffs, and that hope came true on June 5th of 1977. Throughout my speech, I will be giving you a brief history of the Blazers and how they reached their goals. The dreams all started in 1970 when the Blazers entered the NBA. They had their first game at home against the Cleveland Cavaliers on October 16th and went away with the W. During their first season, they were coached by Roland Todd, and according to the sportcyclopedia.com, he didn't start the Blazers off to a great start. The Blazers finished last in the Pacific Division with a record of 29-53. Despite the bad season, Jeff Petrie was one of their stars, and he got Rookie of the Year honors. He split those honors with Boston Celtics star Dave Cohen. Jeff averaged 24 points per game to lead the Blazers. They had high hopes of coming into the next season, but unfortunately Jeff Petrie got injured and missed 22 games. That left a big gap for Sidney Wicks to step up and score 25 points per game as he got honored with the Rookie of the Year award. Unfortunately, though, the Blazers had another bad record, finishing 18-64. After placing last in the NBA for 3 straight seasons, they had some hope coming into the 1974-75 season. They drafted UCLA star Bill Walton in hopes of improving their record. Bill Walton had much success in college as he was named the NCAA Player of the Year for 3 years in a row. The town was hopeful of a big year as they got their star Bill Walton to join the Blazers. Bill Walton had such a successful career that by the time he was finished, he was named one of the 50th greatest NBA stars of all time by the New York Times. Unfortunately for the Blazers, Bill Walton got injured and only played in 55 games. That really hurt the Blazers because they once again had another horrible season. In the 1975-76 season, he was doomed once again with injury. He averaged 16 points and 13 rebounds, as people expected a lot more out of him because he was such a big star in college. The Blazers had seemed to have been stuck with somewhat of a curse for injuries. They finished dead last in the NBA once again, even with their star, Bill Walton. Fortunately, the people in Portland were still somewhat hopeful of a good year. In the 1976-77 season, they hired new coach Jack Ramsey in hopes of a real big turnaround. They also recruited 2 new players, Maurice Lucas and Dave Schwartzik, along with returning Bill Walton. They went from being the worst team in the NBA to finishing first and winning their first NBA championship. After that success, they made 20 consecutive playoff appearances and made it back to the finals, but they have yet to win another championship. Many people in the community were hopeful that they would win once again, but it hasn't happened yet. They recruited All-Stars Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge in the 05-06 season after having a few down seasons. They recruited these 2 in hopes of rebuilding the championship team. Brandon Roy got Rookie of the Year, and then they drafted Greg Oden the next year. Many people were confident that Rip City was coming back. Oden came in, but unfortunately he got injured in his rookie season and didn't play. The next season he was also injured once again. People had such high expectations of Greg Oden that he started to not have as much fun. In the Oregonian, there's an article by Bruce Eli that where you can sense Greg Oden's frustration. It states Oden saying, "I'm working hard to prove to everyone that I can be what they expected." His transition from college wasn't quite as easy as he had hoped for because he was a star in college and came in and people were expecting such high things from him, and he didn't step up to what they had hoped for. This year they made the playoffs. In the first round they played against the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets had a strong lineup, and we were young and hadn't had anybody who'd been in the playoffs before. Jason Quick was a reporter for the Blazers this year, and they lost Game 6 in Houston, and he went into the locker room to interview some of the players, and he said you could sense the frustration and the upset. He interviewed Brandon Roy, who is the star of the Blazers, and Brandon Roy stated that nobody felt that this season was over, and nobody expected to lose that game. People were so frustrated and so hurt that they didn't have much to say to the reporters. So the Blazers are still young and still hoping for a good season these next few years, but they did lose this year and they're finished for this 08-09 season. Dreams all started back in 1970 when they joined the NBA. With having so much successful coaches and players, dreams came true in 1977. They had some down years in the last 10 years, but this year was different. They had some young players and they made the playoffs again. Going to the Rose Garden is an amazing experience. These good players are young, and they are bringing Rip City back. The Blazers love their fans, and being part of the success is an amazing experience.